Welcome back to Appropriations 101. In this session, we're going to talk about the Military Construction VA funding bill. I have with me today the chairman of the subcommittee. His name is John Carter from Texas. He is All-American and All-Texas, and he's a great member and does a great job with this subcommittee. But we wanted to talk a little bit about this appropriation bill, how much it spends. It is about 9% of that discretionary spending, which I will repeat is 28% of the overall spending. And it's about 2% that we spend on this of the overall spending that the federal government spends. But the military construction and the VA programs are obviously vitally important, maybe the most important bill that we fund, because I've always felt like if you make a promise, you ought to keep it. And to our veterans, that's what you ought to do. But this is John Carter from, or known as the Judge, from Central Texas, great guy. Tell us a little bit about the VA military construction bill and the challenges you face.
I'm very fortunate. The VA bill is a bill that both sides of the aisle have no real problem with.
Yeah.
You know, we all know that our veterans deserve great health care and great benefits. And so, you know, nobody really wants to do anything to mess with that.
Yeah.
And so that just having the veterans as the big spending on my bill is pretty easy to handle, because obviously both Democrats and Republicans want to make the best health care possible for our veterans and want to take care of them as best we can. So, and I have a great counterpart in the Democratic Party that works very well with me, Ms. Wasserman Schultz, and we get a bill out with little combat.
And that might surprise some people. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a longtime congresswoman from the state of Florida,
And
a liberal Democrat. And you guys get along well?
we get along, I think we get along because of what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when I was chairman of Homeland, she came to me with an issue about a hurricane that hit Florida that her district didn't get counted into. And she said, can you help me get counted into the money that's coming to Florida? And I said, I think I can do that. And I did. And then when she got to be the chairman, she reminded me the minute I walked in to congratulate her and said, I don't forget people who treat me right. And she's been a sweet girl to work with. Now, do we agree politically? No.
Not much.
Not much. But we are not, we like each other.
Yeah.
And we get along.
And frankly, that's the way
It's the way it's
Congress
supposed to
should
be.
work.
Congress should work.
The Appropriations Committee in general does work that way between Republicans and Democrats. Any bill you look at, there's going to be some things in there that I wouldn't, if I was king for a day, wouldn't necessarily put in a bill. But it's important to someone else. And so you have to work out those compromises, and that's the art of governing, frankly.
That's right, that's right. What my bill does is basically, I attempt to fund all the construction needs of every military post on the earth that belongs to the United States.
Yeah. And that's a lot.
wherever, and that's a lot, and wherever it may be. And it's mostly building buildings and workplaces is what we do. And then, so that's not very controversial in anybody's case. And then the rest is make sure we take care of the war fighters that came home and need good health care.
Yeah. And
we try to give them the best health care that we can provide. And I think we do a pretty good job of it.
I do too. I noticed that you've helped me with some of those issues at Mountain Home Air Force Base and at Gowan Field. In fact, I just went to on a tour of the new medical clinic at Gowan that the military construction bill helped fund. And so we certainly appreciate it, but it's what are those people that have sacrificed in defending our country? We've made promises to them.
We promised them.
And we need to keep those promises.
And you shouldn't break a promise to people, especially people who are willing to put their life on the line.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
So that's my whole theory. That's why I like this committee so much.
Yeah.
It's because it's really helping people.
Yep.
It's helping people that have been in harm's way on our behalf and come home, and now they have an opportunity to have good, solid health care that they can count on.
Well, and let me remind people, this is a very important subject and issue, but it's only 2% of the overall funding that the federal government spends. So when people come and tell us that, just quit spending money and you'll balance this budget, you gotta remember, what we're spending in your committee and the other 11 subcommittees is only 28% of the overall spending of the federal government. The rest of it is mandatory spending, things that we have to address at some point in time. But they're very hard to do, and we've got to get enough people with enough courage to address those challenging issues.
And I have a challenge with that on my bill right now.
Yeah.
We finished our bill up in June and went to the floor in July and got passed off the floor in July. And then right around the 1st or 2nd of August, I get this notification. They gave me a sort of warning, but not a real warning, that they had a $15 billion shortfall.
Yeah.
And I said, well, first off, you've either got somebody really stupid or you really got somebody that's maybe stealing from you, because this doesn't make sense. How do you lose 15 billion
Yeah.
with the B dollars? We're gonna have a little hearing on that after we come back from the election and hear what they have to say. But we've already got, there was 3 billion of it that was mandatory. We've already got that taken care of 2 weeks ago. My counterpart would like the issue to all be put in the mandatory category.
Yeah.
But once again, we have too much automatic spending that we don't get any reports on.
Yeah.
And I just have a principle about that. So I just said, no, we're gonna find a way to get this $12 billion.
Well, and one of the challenges that you've got in your bills, we've all heard the stories about what's going on at certain VA hospitals and stuff, and it's different across the country. Some of them are working perfectly fine and other things, but it's the oversight responsibility that we have to make sure that they're doing their job and that they're doing it as efficiently as possible.
And now they have, what is it, slush fund of $104 billion that they have right now.
Yeah.
We put that in there last time in anticipation of what's gonna happen when we allow our folks, when the VA could not find what our veterans need, to allow them to go to private industry to seek the solution. They are saying that's what drove these numbers up. I'm gonna have some questions about that, but I'm not even gonna get there. They got that money. I think it's gonna be pretty easy to just take a chunk of that money and say, this is what it's for.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
But I wanna get them in here and give them a little talking to. First off, about dropping $15 billion in my lap after my bill's already passed.
Yeah.
And last, if you'll recall, 2 years ago, they put out an announcement that we were underfunding our veterans. Happened to be an election year, and it was an election situation they were trying to deal with, and it was just flat with pause.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was told it's still on their website that we did that, but we didn't underfund it.
Yeah.
We overfunded them, if anything.
Yeah.
But all of that is part of the politics of this town.
Yeah.
And I don't blame my staff or any member of our committee for that. That's above our pay grade.
Well, and that just goes to show that one of our biggest responsibilities is not just appropriating the money, but it's the oversight on how it's spent. And in fact, that's probably a bigger responsibility for us than.
And we need more time to do oversight.
Yep, that's
We
exactly right.
really do. There almost ought to be an oversight committee
Yeah.
on appropriations.
Yeah.
But there was such a big amount of money we're dealing with, it might be hard to do that.
Yeah.
The guy that's got the bill's got to do the oversight.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some oversight right after we get back.
Being a former judge, I wouldn't want to be under his scrutiny when they're doing oversight, because he was a tough judge from what I understand. But as you can tell, he's a great member of Congress.
I can give him my judge look and they'll,
Yeah.
that's great.
You judge look kind of like, yes, sir. But he's a great member of Congress and does a great job with this subcommittee and the other subcommittees that you've chaired over the years. So we appreciate you coming over and talking a little bit about the
I think it's a
military
great idea. I'm
construction.
glad you're doing this.
It is.
And you're
It's
gonna
important
share-
for the public to know.
You're gonna share this with the public and with the conference.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, because believe it or not, folks, most of the folks in Congress don't really know what we do.
I know it. I
That's
know
why they call us cardinals.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming over and talking to
Hey,
us
thanks
about
for
the
having me.
Military Construction Veterans Affairs.
I've got a
Board.
great subcommittee and I love doing it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you.
Judge. You bet.